So, have you ever had a trip go completely wrong? How about your independence being stripped from you? Well, that happened to me. So, I want to share with you guys that story, why wheelchairs are more than just a piece of equipment, and some tips to help you travel smarter. And if you have not guessed it, welcome back to Talking It Up with Tam. I am your girl Tam, and today's topic, that's a tongue twister. It's all about my experience of traveling, being a disabled woman in a wheelchair. Okay, so let me say this. This is not my first rodeo. Not my first time as a disabled woman traveling, having to make plans, doing my due diligence of doing all the backhand work. So let's just start with where it all went wrong. So you guys know that I am Miss Wheelchair America. We will talk about all of those things later on in other videos, but being Miss Wheelchair America, I do have obligations of traveling, and some of those mean that I'm gonna have to get on an airplane. Getting off from my hometown, Wichita, Kansas, great. Everything was just great. We checked my wheelchair, which is a simple, collapsible, lightweight, power travel chair at the luggage claim. When we checked my bag, we checked the chair. We went down the list of this is the weight, the type of chair, this is all of the things, you know, type of battery, all of the things. That then should have been, they get it on the plane and it meets me in South Dakota, which would have been my final destination. That did not happen. Now, where the problem went wrong was connecting. We connected in a humongous hub. So we deboard the plane and we find that my wheelchair that should be going to the next plane, because again, we have connecting flight, is there at the gate. I'm not gonna just be too heavy and too hard, because it was like, okay, that could have been just an honest mix up, you know. But I really feel like if they would have not given me the chair back at that hub, and it would have just went from Wichita on to the next connecting flight, that this airport and this airport team would not have had to touch the chair like they did. But if you know and you fly, you know that they will call your name if you do your part when you book your ticket and let them know that I am coming with equipment, I am disabled, I'm gonna need this kind of help. And so yes, I raised my hand. This is Tamara, what they call me, Tamira Shindil. That's what I was called. But hey, I raised my hand and let them know this is where I'm at. And again, there was some shuffling with the planes and the gates, because this was right after enduring a heavy snow dump all over the country, you guys. But we were in a state that's used to getting a lot of snow. Neither here nor there, but they had to switch our gates a few times, and we weren't the only plane that had a super duper delay and all of that jazz. But yeah, so we got off and they give me my chair back. We explained to them, like, I don't think you guys should have given us the chair back. It should be going with like the rest of the luggage and stuff. And they're like confused. But anyway, they're like, well, you know what? We could just check it at the gate. So they call my name at the gate. They know that they have a disabled passenger. It's in the paperwork. Y'all, we get to getting ready to board. This is after hours of delay, and they're like, oh, we don't have anyone to help you. Even though it's in the computer that I will need help, even though you guys called my name because you know I'll need help, and I showed myself to you guys. My husband went to the gate, talked to the gate agents. This is the things that you're supposed to do. They board me last instead of boarding me first. When you board, they call for disabled passengers, parents with strollers, veterans, military veterans. Let's get you on the plane. It was a whole thing. They finally get me on the plane after they got everybody else on the plane, and the pilot had to come out and see, like, why are we waiting? Oh, because we can't get her on the plane. We're still waiting. They were not prepared. It was very awkward. It was kind of humiliating. It was just, ugh. So nothing against these other passengers, but my body is touching their body, and we don't want that. But what can you do? They get me to South Dakota, and we get off, and we see that my chair looks a lot different than what it should when we usually just pack it in the car, because it literally just folds like an accordion, and then you can just pop it out. It's like an umbrella stroller, like a manual wheelchair. It goes in and it opens. Well, they took some things apart that looked like it didn't need to be taken apart. We get me in the chair. go to power it on, and it's just beeping, beeping, beeping. Okay, maybe it's cold, maybe the battery's dying, blah, blah, blah. Does this a lot, and we're still in the terminal, but then it's like, let's get out of here because they still got to reboard this plane. We got to get out the way. But then it's like my chair is super resistant. It does not want to move, even though the power and all of that stuff being off makes the motor disengage, and you can push it in a manual mode. It's super easy. Well, no, it's not happening this time. It was a struggle to get me through the airport, and so it just kept beeping. It just kept doing all of the things, and it was showing these different bars like lines, and that's like a sign that something is wrong. And so we immediately filed a report before we left the airport. I'm in South Dakota. I don't know nobody, but luckily everyone in the event, the organization I went to, they were super kind. The hotel let me borrow a manual wheelchair, which I'm not used to. This is not my chair. And it's so easy for people who are not in wheelchairs to say, but it's a wheelchair. It's not the same thing. Just imagine if you're an able-bodied person going without your legs, going without something, and it's just said, oh, here, put these prosthetics on, or use these crutches, or use this cane. It's not the same thing. Your body is used to what your body's used to. But we made it work. One of the other participants was able to go and get me a different manual wheelchair because the one at the hotel was still a little wonky, but we made it work. We get through all of the activities of the week. I got to go visit Mount Rushmore and the Crazy Horse Monument. I think I'm going to put a vlog together, and so you guys should check me out over on YouTube and catch that vlog when it uploads. But yeah, it was a cool experience, a great trip. We made lemons out of lemonade, and that's not how it goes. We made lemonade out of lemons because it was sucking, but it was real tart, but we made it happen. But in between the time, we're talking to the airline, and they could not get me a loaner, which is something that they are supposed to try to do, to get you something comparable while you're without, because they did not know if it was just needing a repair or they needed to switch it out completely and get me a brand new one. Long story short, the tech was like, it's gone. He gave us his idea of what he believed happened with the motor and the joystick. It's gone. So we make the preparations for them to get me a new chair, but it's like, but I'm all the way in South Dakota. I am not at home. So, but I did talk to them before reboarding their planes, and because they asked me, what can we do? I need you guys to understand that I need to be in a regular manual wheelchair so that I can still have somewhat independence when it comes to using the bathroom. I don't want to have to hold myself for 8 to 10 hours because you guys put me in a transport chair. If you're not familiar with a transport chair, just Google it. It is not a chair that a person sitting in it can move themselves around, and it literally is it does what it says. It's kind of like a dolly. Like if you ever had to put something on a dolly and you push that around, or a shopping cart, that if you were in a shopping cart, you could not move the shopping cart if you were inside of it. Someone outside of it has to do it for you. That is a chair that I asked them to allow me to avoid because I still needed to make sure that I was going to be able to at least get to the bathroom, because we did have quite a bit of a layover in this same hub and everything. And so going home from South Dakota, they did that airport was on top of it, just like my local airport. They had the gate agents ready to board me down the aisle because I cannot walk down the aisle at all. I have to be put into what is called an aisle chair. Again, check me out on social media over at Your Girl Tam on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and my Miss Wheelchair America 2025 Facebook page, and you will see all of the details on what that is and just videos that I've shared about that. But that I have to have assistance, and but they were ready for me, and they also had me in a regular manual chair that you can, you know, do with your arms. Now technically I shouldn't have to do that, and I'm really not strong enough to have to push my own weight around because I have a neuromuscular disease. It attacks your muscles, so any added struggle and stress to your muscles can further damage and progress the illness. Even the smallest things. We get to the major hub, they're not ready. Even though I have already expressed to the person on the phone for the airlines, we're going to make sure this is smooth for you. They did not. So I'm in a transport chair, which I didn't want to be in. And so I'm already like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to hold myself. And so only to go to board the plane, even after speaking with them on the phone, doing all the stuff on the computer to make sure, and going to the gate agent, hey, it's me right here. I'm going to need an owl chair. I'm going to need owl assistance. Out of my chair, into this chair, out of this chair, into my plane chair, and then off the plane. And they were not prepared again. And so they started to board the plane again because they were not prepared. You guys, it was so frustrating. It was a mess. I get home, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything. I have to cancel things because I don't have my travel chair. Being an able person, imagine your legs are gone. Okay? Imagine you were told you got to walk on these crutches for the next week and a half. Or if you want to go somewhere, you're going to have to do it like this versus what your body is used to doing. So what are some of the solutions? I'm just going to start with better training, like better training from the top. People understanding that when these policies are made for our community, the disabled community, that there needs to be people, individuals at the table to help the policies to go forth, that they make sense, that it's not enough that is to say that we have these policies, because even speaking with the airlines, it's kind of like they're not wanting to take ownership. They want to blame the outside vendors that they hired. But like I explained to them, you hired them. What standards did you give them? We have a saying, nothing about us without us. There needs to be some of us at the table when these decisions are being made. And then we need to stop looking at it as the bare minimum, that it's okay to give the bare minimum to any group. And on top of that, just going to training. They also need to learn to listen. They almost dropped me, y'all. And I tried to tell them, take me in backwards. No, you have to go backwards, only for them to go, we need to go backwards. So just having people that are going to listen. And again, that goes back to policy and procedure, because that will help the staff to get properly trained on how to deal with individuals who are differently able, disabled, handicapped, whatever you want to call it. There needs to be proper training, and then the staff needs to understand you don't know everything. Just because they trained you to do it a certain way, it doesn't mean that when you go to load me on the plane that you're going to be able to load the next person the same exact way, because they may have a different need. So those are some of my solutions. And then with my community, being vocal, being an advocate, standing up for yourself. If you're an ally to someone who's in a disability community, being vocal, being an advocate, standing up for them, not stepping in their way as if they don't have a voice and they can't speak for themselves. But then there are some individuals who cannot speak for themselves, and you may have to step in. But when you have an individual like myself, I'm gonna just need you to co-sign. If I say this is not right, co-sign and be like, she said it's not right. Okay? All right, you guys, so if you are liking what you are hearing, I'm gonna need you to hit all the things, do all the things, and let's get into these tips. My favorite thing is to plan. I love to plan. I am a planner. Call ahead, email, do all of the things, do your research. And so just do your part by planning ahead. My next piece of advice is to pack smart. Okay, make sure you have, if you're in a wheelchair, maybe an extra battery if you think you need that, or like some wheelchairs, you have to air up the tires. Just the things that you think are essential. Your charger is a big part of things. So having those things with you and knowing where they are at. So is this something that you can carry in a carry-on, or if it's something that's in your luggage? Just packing the essentials. If you have an extra piece, like maybe you have a wheelchair that breaks down, maybe let me pack an extra cushion just in case this cushion that I have with me doesn't make it. I mean, there's so many different reasons to pack what you want to pack, but you need to make sure you are packing the essentials. Next, I would advise you to have something that I call the Will Wise Care Card. It is something that I created. If you want more information about it, just hit me up via email. You can find my email on all of my social medias, including on Spotify and on YouTube. But the Will Wise Care Card is basically a card that gives the individuals who will be handling my chair the details that they need to handle it properly. It has a thank you message on there. It's a little little shady. The thank you message is like, thank you for handling my chair with care. These are my legs. You wouldn't want your legs. Da, da, da. I mean, it's a little shady, but it gets the job done because it's like thank you, but it's like passive aggressive, like don't mess my stuff up. But on the front of the card, you will get, like, you put your name, your address, your phone number, an emergency contact. You may even want to put your disability down because they'll know how critical, like, I have muscular dystrophy. I need my chair, you know, or I'm amputee or whatever. This may help. And you don't have to put that on there, but it is a portion on the card that I created to put that on there. And then on the back, you have things like the weight of the chair, the how to power the chair off and on, how to get the chair into manual mode, what type of battery it has, all of those things on the back for the details. So then that way the airline attendant or whoever is attending to your chair can then see, like, oh, this chair is 90 pounds. This chair has a lithium battery. This chair folds, because it even says, is it foldable? Yes or no. Yes, I know that I can fold this. Versus the chair that I'm in now, my Pink Panther, no. Honey does not fold. She does not fold at all, not even under pressure. So yeah, having the card like that could help. And again, it'll have that contact information. So if something does go awry, they'll know, like, this is the number that I can call. This is the person I can email. And again, just being an advocate for yourself, knowing what to say, when to say, how to say, and just speaking up for yourself and letting them know, like, you're not going to treat me any kind of way, or I am going to need a little bit more help, or no, that's not okay. You cannot just fling my legs over here like this, or I'm going to need you to handle me more gently. Just, you know, whatever you got to do, what you got to do, what your need is. You just need to learn how to speak up and say what you need to say, so that your experience is more pleasurable. So again, if you like today's episode, do all the things: like, share, comment, follow, subscribe, and of course you're going to want to stick around when we drop again on the 27th. And yeah, there's so many fun conversations that we are going to have here in the near future, so you won't want to miss it. You want to hit all the buttons so that you can get all of the notifications. And until next time, I will see you then. Peace.